Well, it's that time of year again. It's time to take a look at the cruise industry trends. What are the things that we are going to see the cruise lines focusing on into the next year? Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now I am here in sunny Florida on a week vacation before we do head off onto our next cruise. I'll tell you a little bit at the end of this video about our upcoming cruise in case you are interested, but this is going to be a little bit of a chit-chatty video. I did want to share this information with you. I thought it was absolutely so interesting. I have been collecting articles over the last, I guess, month or so, really looking at the biggest cruise industry trends. Some are absolutely surprising. Some, I think, are things that we did expect. But I think as we head into another very interesting year, it is something for us all to take note of. Now, by the way, I apologize in advance if there are any sound issues. It is a little bit breezy out here, but we're just loving it. And I have to take advantage of this weather. I'm from Canada, so I have to take advantage of this beautiful weather we're having here in sunny Deerfield Beach, Florida. Now, before I get started, I did want to mention that if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give this video a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. So one of the biggest trends that we're going to see is cruise lines really going after those first-time cruisers. Now, in 2022, a lot of cruise lines, they went after their loyal customers, repeat cruisers, but now they're going to be going after their first-time cruisers, which of course is always how the industry grows. So this is much more normal, but in particular with big advertising dollars. Now, by the way, I'm going to link any article that I cite down in the description below, but this was reported in Cruise Industry News, where they talked about in Carnival's Q4 earnings call, where they really talked about increasing their ad spend to get to those first-time cruisers. And by the way, it's not so much for competition against other cruise lines, but really their competition is land-based vacations. And it might be a little bit surprising, but it's a very low percentage of Americans that have actually taken a cruise. Let me know if you do know that statistic. I couldn't find anything that was terribly current, but it is a very low number. So this is really where the cruise lines are going to try to get more market share. Cruise lines are going to be focusing on revenue generation. So rather than just filling their cruise ships, that sometimes that was really the goal for some of the months of the last year, but it is on revenue generating. And again, this was reported from Carnival's Q4 call in Cruise Industry News, but something that they did talk about was focusing on revenue generation. Now, important elements of this are trimming their operational costs. This is something we've definitely, for better or for worse, that we have seen, and getting rid of less fuel efficient ships. Now, they say that all the while they will be focusing on maintaining their price integrity. Now, that is something very interesting because we did sometimes see some very low prices by cruise lines over this last year, and in particular, I would say Carnival, but other cruise lines as well. Whereas we did have Norwegian that throughout the last year said that they were always going to be maintaining price integrity, and they've actually fared pretty well over this last year, despite some unpopular decisions the cruise line has made. Now, I do have a few thoughts and even some questions about this as we are heading into what looks like will be a difficult time for some people economically. So I'm not sure how this is going to go, but I think that I'll talk about this in a future video. A focus on connectivity and the guest experience. Now, I think this is definitely a good one for cruise passengers. Now, this is something that a company that works with several cruise lines says that this is something that cruise lines are expressing is very important to them and what they want to focus on. So this is not only the ship intranet, and obviously this is something that is important. They are saying that cruise passengers expect something closer to like a land-based vacation, but not only the internet, but also the pre-cruise experience, the embarkation, all of the different apps, the information, all of the apps, that things are working well, the chat features, fast bandwidth, all of that is something that they're going to be focusing on to better the guest experience. We're going to be seeing an increased focus and even an expansion of cruises leaving from U.S. ports. Now, unfortunately, there's been a lot of volatility and continued uncertainty for international travel, in particular in certain markets, including Asia. But that does mean that it is more profitable for cruise lines to fill their ships in the United States. And we've seen this from many different cruise lines, including MSC, who has recently announced a new home port in Galveston, Texas. Cruise lines getting rid of or divesting of their older, smaller cruise ships. Now, this is something that we've seen a lot of over the last couple of years, and we're going to continue to see this. The reality of those older, smaller cruise ships is they're not very fuel efficient. If they're older, and especially if they're not really refurbished or renovated, they don't command that higher price tag, so they really are not as profitable. And they also weren't really built with revenue generation in mind. So for instance, a lot of them don't have those specialty restaurants and other things that really could increase the profit for the cruise line. Even the fact that they're not as fuel efficient means that it is a higher cost to run those cruise ships. So while recently we did hear of Carnival Corporation getting rid of 3 more ships, I think that we're going to continue to see this even by other cruise lines in the next year. Virtual innovations. Now, I do think that all cruise lines have become more innovative, but when it comes to virtual innovations, well, celebrity seems to be maybe leading the pack a little bit. I'm not sure how I feel about this and if there's really so much of a need, but it is something very interesting. We now have celebrities metaverse. Please let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Now, I have one more cruise industry trend that I think is something really good, at least for some people, and then I have one that I think has been something that has not been very popular. I think it's unfortunately what we thought it would be, and I do have a little bit of an I told you so for that. Well, kind of joking about that one, but really. In any case, let me tell you about this next one. So the next cruise industry trend is longer, interesting itineraries and world cruises. Every time that the cruise lines, any of them, have done their longer, more exotic itineraries, they have sold out. People are very interested in this type of travel, and I think this trend is going to continue through 2023 and beyond. Cutbacks in service. This is definitely something that we saw over the last few months of 2022, and this is going to continue in 2023. And maybe it really is okay. I do think that when we're looking at some of the cutbacks in service, they are on some of those contemporary value cruise lines, and maybe this is really just what people do want these days. There are a lot of exciting, interesting things to do on the cruise ship. The entertainment is fabulous. So maybe that really is where the focus is, and where they can cut some cost is on the service. So in particular, we have heard recently, and I will do a future video talking a little bit more about this and some other things, but we have heard from Norwegian Cruise Line, who now have said that they are going to once a day housekeeping. This is something that we've seen on Carnival a few months ago. I think MSC, if I'm not mistaken, always had once a day housekeeping. I've heard Royal Caribbean is going to be going towards this as well, and they're saying it's for environmental reasons, but it is also a cost-cutting measure. And in particular for Norwegian Cruise Line, from what we've heard, Cruise Center has reported this, that they're not only cutting back to 1 time a day, and this is where the I told you so moment is going to be. This is where I have some thoughts on this. I don't mind the once a day housekeeping, but I know when people talked about once a day housekeeping, a lot of people said if we only ask for once a day housekeeping, it's going to be less work for the crew. My thought on that at the time was that if we ask for only once a day house cleaning, they're simply going to give the crew more work and they're going to cut back on staff. And that is apparently what Norwegian Cruise Line is doing. According to Cruise Center, they are actually cutting back on staff, and in some cases, crew are actually getting a salary cut. Now, please let me know how you feel about this one, especially as it comes almost hand in hand with Norwegian Cruise Line increasing its daily gratuities or its service charge. Okay, if you made it through this video so far, thank you so much for sticking with me. It has been really breezy. At one point, I was chasing papers around this back patio, but in any case, it's just gorgeous outside, so how can I complain? But the cruise that we are going to be going on is the Celebrity Beyond on January 8th. If you are on that cruise ship, please do say hi. It's going to be my pleasure to meet you. The cruise ports we're going to is St. Thomas, St. Martin, and Puerto Plata. I do plan to do videos about the different cruise ports, but I'd love to know what are the things that you'd like to know about Celebrity. Now, it's been a few months since we were on the Celebrity Summit, and it's been well over a year since I did a video all about celebrity cruise tips. And I know a lot of things have changed, so I'm due to update that video. So that is my intention. So please let me know any questions you have about Celebrity, about Celebrity's Edge class ships. I am so looking forward to it. Now, if you've been on the Celebrity Beyond or any of the Edge class ships, please let me know any tips that you have. I'm always happy to hear them. And please let me know, in terms of the cruise industry trends, what are the things that you think are going to be happening in 2023? What are the things that you like and you don't like? Please let me know down in the comments below. Now, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I would love to have you here within the Lifewell Cruise community. Bye for now, and happy cruising.